thoughts on the airways hum. Hear the tales of where they're from. Stories whispered, not in lies. Jobs they held through changing times.
Welcome back to Amplify Your Signal, the podcast where we go beyond the resume to talk about leadership, career growth, reinvention, and the human side of work. Today's guest is someone I've known and admired for years. We've been friends for a long time. Tiffany Toussaint is a strategic talent acquisition leader and founder of Toussaint Talent, where she helps organizations improve recruiting processes, strengthen hiring partnerships, and create better experiences for both candidates and internal teams. Tiffany has led TA functions across multiple industries and brings a thoughtful, people-centered perspective to the future of hiring, leadership, and candidate experience. Welcome, Tiffany. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Nicole. You did a fantastic job. That is me in a nutshell. As Nicole said, I'm Tiffany Toussaint, and I'm based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and have been in human resources and talent acquisition for 3 decades. It's a lot. But as Nicole mentioned, a strategic talent acquisition leader, founder and principal consultant at Toussaint Talent, and you can find that on the web at TousaintTalent.net. I'm also available on Instagram as well as LinkedIn under Miss Tiffany Toussaint. Absolutely love talent acquisition, which we'll talk about here today. In addition to recruiting, I am a mother of a college student. I also love baseball and hitting up breweries. So hopefully I'll meet up with some of you in one or two of those venues here in the near future.
And happy Mother's Day a day late. So excited that we get to record the day after Mother's Day as well.
Yes.
So, my friend, you have worked across many industries, many teams. What is it about TA that genuinely energizes you after working in multiple industries, multiple teams? What is it that still gets you excited about TA?
So one of my beliefs is that human resources is the heartbeat of an organization. And it's not necessarily the HR function, but it's people, it's talent. And talent acquisition is the face of that function. And that we get to positively impact the lives of people. And those people get to go into organizations, do their best work, pursue their passions, and support organizations' missions, visions, and help them solve problems. But there's something truly exciting when you get to hear someone's story and see how their passion can support an organization or a team's vision or complete a team, but that you got the job, and just that excitement and energy that candidates have and feel to be able to play a key part in someone else's life is just, it fills my cup.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of TA
Yeah.
as well. It's like you're changing people's lives. Like, how
Yes.
can you not love that? I never understand when people are like, I really love HR. I don't want to do recruiting. I'm like, what do you mean? Do you not understand like the impact you're having on people?
Yeah, it's
Wow.
a huge impact. And even when like the least favorite is expressing, hey, you didn't get the job, but I'd rather do that than completely ghost someone and
Yes.
have a conversation with them about why they weren't selected so that they can pursue something else and understand what they could change or improve to improve their chances of getting another opportunity.
Yeah. Well, and if they were holding out for your opportunity, then you're doing them a kindness by saying, like, hey, you're not in the running for this anymore. Focus
Yeah.
your efforts on something else.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just the right thing to do.
really. It really
Mhm.
is.
Yeah.
So you've had a front row seat to both strong and also broken hiring environments. What's a moment or experience that really solidified the philosophy that you've developed around how talent acquisition should operate?
So there are a couple of things. I've had the opportunity to go into organizations and assess, and that's the first thing that I would encourage people to do, and that is assess the situation. Yes, I have a ton of experience, but that experience may not align with what that particular organization's goals and missions are. So go and assess, ask questions, understand where the opportunities are and address those opportunities. In particular, going in and seeing there's an opportunity to build a TA function. So maybe there in one situation there I had 3 recruiters and built that team up to 26 people over the course of about 3 years. And it was listening to the business, understanding their needs, looking at data, the core TA data points, time to fill, source of hire, all of those things, understanding, digging into that data and that information and understanding, how do we address these pain points? So it's taking us a long time to fill these jobs. Why? Well, in some instances, it was managers weren't engaged in the process. In other instances, we didn't have the right recruiters aligned to the right business. But have the opportunity to really build out that team and have talent acquisition coordinators, recruiters, introduced talent sourcing into that organization. Looked at how do we keep this recruiting team? How do we keep the recruiters together? How do we keep this talent acquisition team together and retain them? So it was giving them opportunities to develop and grow. So, looking at sort of building this team and building out a contingency plan so the team could mirror the ebbs and flows of the business. So if there were one business that needed more support, we could transfer recruiters and sourcers to support that particular business. And then when things leveled off, they would go back to their quote unquote their home base. So it wasn't that this team or the function was broken. It just needed to be built out as the organization was growing. So aligning the team by business, helping the recruiters and the strategic sourcing partners work together to find and identify talent, build pipelines, all of those things. So it really worked well. And the other thing that I was able to do was create new roles. So instead of having this flat talent acquisition organization, we built layers within the talent acquisition specialist role. So associate specialist, specialist senior, and also a talent acquisition lead. So if I were to leave, which I ended up doing, then there were opportunities for people in those lead roles to be considered for the role I was exiting. So giving them opportunity to grow within the function, but also as they're working through that contingency plan, they're learning more about the business. So the more they learned about the business, the better they were able to explain to candidates how their roles would fit into the organization.
Yeah, I mean, you're never learn more about a business than when you're engaging in TA, especially sitting in on hiring manager interviews.
Yes.
That's the quickest way that I mean, anytime I start with a new organization, I start sitting in on interviews because you learn
Yeah,
immediately, like, what's important to people around here. And then also you hear the answers to the candidate questions. So then when you get those questions
absolutely.
yourself in the future, you have those answers and you understand. Yeah.
Yep. I think it's, looking at the different functions within an organization. So HR business partners, HR generalists, and talent acquisition specialists, depending upon how they're aligned with the organization, have to know a lot about the company and how it works, the market and all of those things. If they're going to sell the organization and then the HR business partners, if they're going to support the organization, they have to know what's going on. But you're absolutely right, Nicole, sitting in on those interviews is critical. And it also helps with coaching and training hiring managers too.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It's definitely twofold. Yeah. It's like, so when we were in that conversation, I noticed this. In
Yes.
the future,
Yes.
I would recommend this. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So we've had multiple conversations before, and I know that we are aligned in the mindset that TA should be that strategic partner, not the order taker, right? What does that actually look like in practice?
It may vary depending on the organization. So the pat answer from HR, it depends. So it really
Right.
does depend on the organization. But what I've seen work is when recruiters take the initiative to engage in the business. So like we were just talking about sitting in on those hiring manager interviews, extend it beyond that. Go to department meetings, represent talent acquisition in the businesses that you're supporting, so you're getting firsthand information about what's coming in that business, sales numbers, plans, those types of things, what's working, what's not. Um, Embed yourself in those businesses and invite yourself. I would tell my team, act as if you're supposed to be there.
There you go.
Invite yourself. And what happened in those situations when recruiters were participating in those business conversations, whether it's a town hall or a quarterly business update, they were re- they were missed if they weren't there.
Mm,
So the leaders in the business would go to talent acquisition and say, "Hey, we missed you. Here's the information that you missed." In addition, recruiters, talent acquisition specialists, sourcing specialists, TA leads, they can share TA updates. And it's not just with the hiring leaders, but it's with the entire organization, that entire business. So, in my opinion, everyone is responsible for recruiting. Now, we in TA have the responsibility of managing the process and ensuring compliance and consistency and fairness and things like that, but everyone is responsible. So if I'm in a business and I'm having conversation, at a business meeting, or I am out networking at an industry function, I'm representing the organization. And I can
mhm.
tell people how great it is or talk about the upcoming projects that are going on, or that's recruiting,
Yeah.
networking and recruiting. So, as a recruiting representative, if I'm going to those business meetings, the quarterly updates, the town halls, all of that, those leaders that are out in the community can reference what we do for recruiting. So they can act as an extension of the talent acquisition team. So that's kind of what it looks like. So we're partnered together, we're not forgotten and brought in last minute. We can tell those leaders what's happening in the market, provide coaching and knowledge and information about what's happening in the recruiting world and what candidates are looking for. So that can shape how they are designing their organization. It can shape how they're going about their networking. But it's really about building that partnership and that relationship and becoming part of the business and enabling those leaders to be an extension of the talent acquisition team. Too frequently, we're brought in last minute. Like leaders are working for months on a role. They're partnered
Mhm.
with HR business partners, designing their team and designing job descriptions. And we often in TA don't know about it until the requisition shows up on our desk. And then leaders are wondering why it's taking so long to fill the job.
Mm.
In their mind, it's been open for months. In our mind,
Right.
it's been open for 2 minutes.
Right.
To avoid that, we can work in concert if there's that business partnership and that relationship and we're participating in the same meetings.
Yeah.
I've also found helpful like regular business updates or regular recruiting updates. So if I'm supporting marketing, once a month I'm doing a requisition review or a talent acquisition review with the marketing leaders. So I know what's coming and they know the status of their current open jobs.
Yes. Yeah. I always encourage
Hmm.
regular, scheduled, recurring
Yes,
one-on-ones with the leaders whose service lines you support. Absolutely.
absolutely. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Because it might not even be, we think we have an opening coming up. There might be a performance issue that's going on, or
Right,
there might be a performance. I don't even know the word I want to use, but there might be a situation where maybe somebody is just outstanding and they're looking for them from like a potential and a
right.
promotional opportunity. Well, we're going to backfill them. So it's not always just listening for the negatives, but also getting really excited about,
Yes.
well, let's get this team, this new role set up then, and let's
Mhm.
make sure that they can hire for their team. And you talk to finance, make sure you got budget, right? Like all
Yes,
those things
all
that
the things.
it's not just posting a job. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, from your perspective, where are you seeing that organizations are just kind of missing the mark on candidate experience right now?
There are a couple of things that come to mind with that, specifically with candidate experience, and one is that we too frequently forget what it's like to be a candidate. So we go to work for our favorite organization, the company we've always wanted to work for, and suddenly we think everyone who's anyone wants to work for the same company. And we forget to sell and we forget to invite all of that. The other is on the back end of the recruiting process once we get to, the second interview, the final interview and that follow through,
Uh,
people drop the ball
yeah.
too often. So we're in, coming up on the middle of 2026. Like I mentioned at the onset, I've been doing this work for a long time. This is the worst job market I've seen. And a lot of it has to do with, mass layoffs and organizations planning to rely more on artificial intelligence. So there are a lot more candidates than there are job opportunities. And recruiters are getting hundreds of applications, that like within hours of posting a job. So what do those communications look like and what does that cadence look like? Are we taking the candidate into consideration? So again, putting yourself in the place of the candidate, what would you want to know and hear? What should those communications look like? It's an opportunity to extend your employment branding. So if you've put all this time and effort and resource and money into these slick marketing materials and social media posts and things like that, follow that through with how you're interacting and communicating with candidates. And I think too frequently we forget to do that. We just think, okay, well, it's handled. We have automated responses and that'll be great. The number of times I've seen people complain and, post horror stories about, I've been through 8 interviews in person and got an automated rejection.
Yeah.
It's horrible. That's a
Yeah.
horrible experience. We can
Yeah.
do better.
Yeah. Well, and even if you don't hire the person, you have the opportunity with that relationship for maybe you'll hire them in the future. Maybe you'll hire somebody they know. Maybe they'll become a customer, right? But
Yes,
you don't want to make them a detractor of your brand.
exactly.
Like, what do
People
you do?
don't always think about that. What you just mentioned, Nicole, they could be a customer.
They could be a
Like
customer.
I could apply to my favorite clothing brand or the vehicle that whatever, and that could deter me from ever purchasing with that organization again, based on how they treat me as a candidate.
Yeah.
And I think more people need to think about it that way. It's employment branding, but it's also how you're marketing to your potential or future customers.
Yeah. Even from a customer service aspect, there are I know of people who had a great customer service experience and it made them want to work for the company
Exactly.
because they were like, "Oh, I had such a great experience." You love your job, right? Like,
Right.
I bet everybody else there loves their job too. I'd love
Right.
to come and work there. Are you guys hiring? Like, say cost you $0
Zero.
because your culture recruited that person.
Yes.
I mean,
Who would have thought?
yeah, amazing, amazing, amazing.
Look at us solving all the world's problems.
Just take a little talk show.
Right.
But when you're thinking about then hiring managers and business leaders and creating that strong recruiting process, where are you seeing the breakdowns that happen most often?
I think it's so we do this day in and day out. So we recruit. We do it all day, every day. Hiring managers don't, maybe once or twice a year. So a lot of times what happens is there's a lack of that partnership that we talked about earlier. So we don't have those strong connections and relationships. So talent acquisition is viewed as transactional. Here's my order, fill my order, come back to me when it's done. And it's not because they're trying to be transactional, it's because they don't know. Hiring leaders don't understand what we do. So if there is a learning and development, or that you have those business partnerships, if your organization does leader onboarding, or there's annual training, or there's hiring manager training, like here's how to effectively interview, here's how you should be including your talent acquisition partner, in addition to your HR business partners. I think it's not because people are intentionally trying to sabotage the recruiting process. It's that they're not informed. A lot of managers will say, "Well, I've been recruiting for my entire career." Well, yeah, you've interviewed for one job into your team in the last 3 years. So yeah, you've done some interviewing, but there's a science to it. And let me
Yeah.
explain what that looks like. So I
Yes.
think it's a lack of understanding and appreciation for the work that gets done. Like we were talking about earlier, we know a little bit about a lot of things because we're spread across the organization and we're supporting multiple business lines, just like HR business partners. Hiring leaders aren't necessarily well versed in all things HR. So that's where it's incumbent upon us to build those partnerships to help educate them. So it's really helping the leaders understand what the recruiting process looks like and why we're doing things the way we're doing them. We're not saying no to be a roadblock. We're saying
Right.
no because we want to be compliant and we want to mitigate risk. So it's really that lack of education. And it's not, like I said, it's not intentionally lacking the education. It's just that it hasn't happened in a lot of instances. So taking the opportunity to partner with the business leaders and the lines of business that you're supporting so that they can come to you, they rely on you, they reach out to you and say, "Hey, we have this opportunity coming up. What do we do next?"
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the needs of candidates evolve, right? If you haven't hired in a while, like make sure you know how your system works. Make sure
Right.
you understand how technology and communication happens with candidates because the systems evolve all the time as well. And I mean, we uncover new and better ways of doing things all the time. Like
Right.
we might have improved our process since the last time
Yeah.
that you were part of an interview process or that you
Mhm.
were the hiring manager. Yeah.
Yep. We work,
Yeah.
in just charge like operations, we do continuous improvement projects all the time. So as technology improves, our process can improve as well. By the way, that those 3 steps you did last time, you only have to do one of them this time.
Yeah.
But I think again, it's that relationship and that, helping leaders to understand why we're doing what we're doing in support of them. It's one of the things that I have done in the past is creating hiring manager training. Also, through the processes or as part of the process, here are some guides for you. I know it may have been a while since the last time you hired, and even if it hasn't been that long, here's some information that you will need to know as we go through this process. And then when you're doing your strategy session or your intake session, reviewing that information and clarifying those roles and responsibilities. And one of the bigger things I think that goes missing is that accountability. So here's your role in this process, here's mine. Let's meet weekly or every other week to check in, make sure we're holding up our ends of the bargain.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So accountability, obviously a valuable part
Yep.
of the process and of the team. You've also talked about curiosity and passion as non-negotiables. How do you see those showing up in building and leading high performance TA teams?
I love that. And when I'm hiring for my team, I look for curiosity and passion. And how that shows up is when those individuals join the team, they're asking questions. They want to know more. How does this work? Can I break this and make it and rebuild it? What does this piece of the business do? How does this role fit into the mission and vision, or the 5-year plan that the organization has? And it shows up in individuals where they're, who do I need to know? Who should I be meeting with? What's happening in the organization that's going to help me bring candidates and bring talent into the organization? And you can see it, you can hear it, and you can feel it when you're interacting with individuals. but that it shows up in how they behave when they're on the job. Tell me more. What do I need to know? Where can I go for more training? What does this business do? If I push this button, what happens? And what I love, what I've seen happen is when those people are part of the team, they bring that energy to other people on the team and then it just spreads.
Yeah.
And then you've got this, managers coming to you or to me or whoever the leader is. We want this. If you change my recruiter, if you swap out my recruiter, I will be very disappointed. So they're because they bring that curiosity and that passion, those leaders want to hang on to them and they want more people like them. And then those individuals bring other people into the organization who also have curiosity and passion. And of course, it shows up different ways for different people. But it's so fun to see that when a recruiter's like, give me more, give me more. And then they also look at, you know what, I think we can improve this process. Or why do we need this? Can we
Yes.
do it a different way?
Yes. I think that says a lot about you as a leader as well, that people feel safe and comfortable asking the questions because
Mhm.
sometimes you could work for a leader where maybe there is safety there, but it hasn't been expressed. And maybe it doesn't feel like it's safe to say, well, why do we do it that way? Because you might worry that the person would respond with, how dare you question me? Right? Like that's the way
Right,
that we've always done it. Why would you ask questions about that? Like, are you just trying to be difficult?
right.
Versus, I mean, it sounds like foster cultures and teams where curiosity is supported and you want people to question things and you want that spirit of continuous improvement. I mean,
Hmm. Yeah. I really like one of the things that, or actually, so two things come to mind when I think about who I am as a leader. One is collaboration. So
Mhm.
let's bring all the people together. So the representatives from all across the organization. We have an issue that we need to solve. I'm not going to do it all by myself. Like I may have a solution, but that solution may not be the absolute best for the problem. So let's bring all of the key players together and figure it out together. The other is inclusivity. So there are a wide array of people in recruiting. There are introverts, there are extroverts, there are people if you're into, things like Enneagram and, Myers-Briggs, but there's a whole smattering of people that love this work and approach things with different viewpoints and different lenses. If I were to bring a bunch of Tiffany's into, I mean, we probably have a lot of
We
fun.
would have a great time.
We would have so much fun.
So much fun. Yeah.
We'd all be like caffeinated with mochas and all of the things, but everything would be the same.
Yes.
I think that would be a hindrance to progress and to improvement. So the more diverse a team is, the greater the ideas, the greater their momentum. And another benefit of that is you get a more diverse candidate pool. So different ideas, different levels and types of experience. So collaboration and inclusivity are things that are really important to me. And I think probably signatures for, um, whether you call it legacy or, if you were to ask people who have worked with me, that's probably, two of the things that would come up.
So it's a jungle out there, right? In these streets and
Yes.
this job search. I mean, I was laid off December of 24. So it'll be almost
Mhm.
2 years. And I mean, we all know what I shifted and pivoted and have
Yeah. Yep.
done all this, basically stitched together a full-time role out of kind of what I'm doing, between my business and I really want to say like collaborations really with other vendors, which
Yeah.
I love it. But what are you seeing and what are you learning about kind of what that current job search experience looks like out there?
The current experience is really, really tough. And like you, my last corporate role was eliminated through a reduction in force. So I have spent a lot of time job searching and have made the decision to also pivot. So that's where we have Toussaint Talent, where I can use my experience to do the most good through supporting a variety of organizations with optimizing their recruiting function, training teams, training hiring leaders, helping candidates with their search. But I think we talked a little bit about this. What I've seen is the candidate experience needs some help. Like the number of positions to which I've applied and seen, heard other people apply to and hear nothing,
Nothing. Yes.
absolutely nothing is disheartening.
Yeah.
As a lot of people know, a job search can be a full-time job, and when you are not employed, it's even more frustrating, and sometimes it's a dire situation for people where it's literally their livelihood. And how we as employers or how companies interact with candidates can make or break how people feel about them. But I think there's a lot lacking in the candidate experience, and there are more and more organizations relying on artificial intelligence to do that work for them. It can help, it can augment your process, but it shouldn't entirely replace it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really tough. And anyone who's right now in the middle of 2026 looking for an opportunity, understand that it's not you. Are hundreds of thousands of people
Yes.
actively job seeking.
Yeah.
And on the recruiter side, so here looking at an applicant tracking system and posting a job and literally getting hundreds of applications within a matter of hours or a day,
Yeah.
it's overwhelming for us. And if we're working, 15 open job requisitions, it's going to take us a little bit of time
Yes.
to get through all of those applications.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's on both sides. It's really a tough environment right now. And like I said, I've never in my career seen a market quite like this, even going back to like 2002, 2008, and 2009. This is, and even, during 2020 when we're in a pandemic is a little bit different. It's an anomaly with the job market. And it's hard to give advice to candidates in this particular environment, but just know that it's not the candidates. You're very likely more than qualified for the opportunity. It's just that so are tens of thousands of other people. And it's trying, giving recruiters the time to review all of those applications. And then there's also the option of, trying to go it on your own, like what we're doing. Lots of people venturing out on their own, lots of women in particular starting their own businesses because of the impact that corporations and working in corporate has had. So I just stay strong. Do what you can to stay strong. But the one piece of advice I do have for candidates as I think through this and think out loud is make sure that you're taking breaks and resting. Job search is difficult. It can be tough. It can take a long time. And it can get overwhelming and frustrating if you're out on LinkedIn and you're out on the socials and you're seeing all these people, I got the job, I got the job. And it's like heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Give yourself time to rest, even if it's, I'm going to spend 2 hours a day job searching and then I'm going to break. It's otherwise you're going to burn yourself out.
Right. And you don't want to spend, all day long applying to jobs all day long when you could be focusing on your network and your
Yes.
relationships
Yes.
and other opportunities where, because you don't want to apply for the job cold if you could have a genuine connection with somebody
Right.
in the business, because
Yep.
that gets your application looked at that much. They're like, "Oh, well, who is that? Let me go, search their name," right? Like, it just is what it is.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So if we wanna help out the organizations then, so we have organizations out there, they wanna do better, right? When you know better, you do
Mhm.
better. So
Right.
for the organizations that know that, like, something is not working, they just don't know where to start, what is your best advice?
So when it comes to talent acquisition specifically, if organizations are looking at their data, whether it's their recruiting dashboard or they're actually listening to their recruiters and the recruiters are saying we need XYZ technology or the market isn't producing these types of individuals or this job is actually two jobs meshed into one, you're not going to find this purple squirrel. Taking time to really assess what are the top, maybe it's the top three, maybe it's the top five issues, and then addressing, working with, again, a cross functional team to identify what are the priorities to address. So if it's taking too long to fill jobs, why? If candidates are rejecting offers, what is it about our offers that aren't compelling? Understanding, what are the things that are broken, assessing that, and then addressing those issues. A lot of times I've seen organizations put together continuous improvement teams. So maybe maybe it's even after the employee engagement survey. Here are the top three themes. We need to address these. Let's put a focus group together to understand what we can do as an organization to address these themes. You can do the same in kind of on a micro scale. Look at your talent acquisition data. What are the candidates saying in their surveys? What are hiring managers saying in their surveys? What is the data telling you? And putting together a focus group to address those issues. Sometimes organizations will bring in a third party consultant because recruiters are heads down, elbows up filling requisitions. They don't have the additional time in their day to also take on a project, to fix what's going on in the applicant tracking system, to update interview guides, to update hiring manager training. So someone else from outside the organization can come in and help with that assessment. Again, bringing in a cross-functional team, hiring managers, ops leaders, have an executive leadership team sponsor the project,
Mm-hmm.
but really setting aside dedicated time to update and improve what is broken and then assess it.
Yeah.
Once you go forward and fix the issue, a few months later, a year later, did this work? Is it
Right.
working? So look
Yeah.
again at the data. What are candidates saying? What are the hiring managers saying? Are your recruiters happier? What does the engagement survey say? So looking at the data, assessing it, understanding what the issues are, address the issues, and then assess the data again, or
Yeah.
look at the data and assess the issue again.
Well, and I love the thought about that and the suggestion for that because so many times, I mean, I work for PE-backed orgs, things like that. Like
Right.
we were hired fast, right? And sometimes it made sense to bring in an outside agency, an outside recruiter, something like that, because we needed to be like, okay, we're going to handle all our high volume, and then we're bringing somebody in
Yes.
that can do this, that can focus on that. Likewise, with your TA team, if you're all working on the needs of the business, making sure that you're taking care of that hiring workflow, but maybe your processes also need some help and you want to do those things in parallel. What a wonderful opportunity in the business to exist where, well, maybe we'll bring in a consultant that can help us work on that, work with our team, and then we're doing all these things together instead of saying, okay, recruiting team, we need you to fill all these spots, but we also need you to redo the process. Like those things, unless people are working 80 hours a week, which I
Right.
don't recommend, right?
Right.
Like, how are they going to do that?
Right.
So I think that's a great suggestion.
Yep. And for those organizations that have, a function like quality control or, there are some businesses that actually have, in particular with, industrial based businesses or manufacturing, they have continuous improvement teams. So
Yes.
you could bring in a representative from that part of the organization to
Yep.
help project manage
Yep.
that continuous improvement. And that it works great because you've got a third party,
Yes.
an internal third party. They know the business, but they don't know your process. They can question you. We know the ins and outs of our process, but when someone from the outside comes in and starts asking questions, it gets us to think differently. and then we can solve the problem in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. Do like a Kaizen
Yeah,
at your
exactly.
organization.
Six Sigma, the whole thing.
Sigma the whole thing.
I
Yes.
love doing that. I love pulling out a process and breaking it down into pieces and then putting it back, and whatever pieces don't fit anymore go to
Yeah.
the wayside.
I love
Yep.
it. And then think about the buy-in that you're gonna have because other people were involved in it. Like
Yes.
HR didn't create this in a silo, TA didn't create this in a silo.
Yes.
TA and HR didn't get together and create it in a silo where it's like, oh, well, we all know what we're doing and know what's going on.
Right.
Like to get other people from the business involved as well, like I think that'd be
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I can tell you from firsthand experience, it works wonders. You have a champion in the business that can talk up, the work that talent acquisition does, the work that HR is doing versus, well, that's HR's fault. HR said no. Well, actually,
Right.
here's why we can't do that,
Yes.
because it could lead to huge issues. So,
Right.
yeah, the buy-in is key.
The buy-in is so key. Yes. One question I ask everybody, and you are no exception. So, what is it? What do you want prospective employers, colleagues, maybe prospective clients, and the broader community to understand about you?
A couple of things. I love what I do. It's just, I enjoy this line of work. I enjoy this industry. Collaboration is important. Integrity is important. Yeah, there's one other thing. So collaboration, relationship building. So while I have years of experience in a lot of different industries and organizations, I don't know it all. I'm still learning just like everyone else. I'm still learning. So if I'm Gen X, if I have a Gen Yer on my team, they're going to know things that I don't know. So I'm willing to learn, but it's the collaboration, the integrity, and working with accountability. So if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. If we agree that you're going to do something, then I'm going to follow up and make sure, hey, you said we were
Yes.
going to do XYZ by X date. It's X date. Do you
Yeah.
need help? Can I help you with
Right.
that?
Yeah. How can
Do
I
you need
help?
an extension? Yeah,
What do you need? But also, it's like the no update with candidates, right? Like, hey, I said I was
yeah,
going to get you at this time. I don't have an update, but I still wanted to connect with you because that's the commitment I made to you. Same thing
absolutely.
in the business, right? Like, hey, our shared agreed upon deadline is here. What are we doing?
Right. And you mentioned when we launched this conversation, the people focus that I have,
Hmm.
and that's really, I bring people in. I collect introverts, which I have a handful of friends that are like, I'm so glad you found me in the corner, sitting in the back of the room. But I want to bring people together to, help them do their best work,
Yes.
help them work through or give them the space they need to work through whatever issues they've got going on. But yeah, it's that, accountability, integrity, connection, collaboration, but all with a people lens.
Yeah.
Yes, we do want to make sure that we're, bringing money into the organization and that we're winning bids and things like that, but we can't do that without people. So if we're, years and years ago, I can't even remember who it was, but probably some famous public speaker. If you take care of your people, the people will take care of your bottom line.
The guy that owns Virgin, what's his
Was it
name?
Richard Branson?
Richard Branson. It was Richard
Okay.
Branson, the guy that owns Virgin. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
seriously, like if I take care of my TA team, they're going to fill jobs. They're going to take care of our candidates. So they're going to take care of our candidates. They're going to take care of hiring leaders. I'll work with strategy, and I'll work with our business leaders. But if we focus on taking care of, and cliche, our greatest asset, but if we're taking care of those people, they're going to take care of everything else. Give
Absolutely.
them the tools and resources they need.
Get out of their way.
Yes,
Yes.
I get out of their way, because if I don't, I'm going to be doing their job, my job.
Yes.
I'm like,
Yeah. I'm like, you don't understand. I hired you
no,
because I don't have time to do this job. So I need you
you're
to do this
smart and
job.
capable enough to do this job. That's why you
I
were
didn't hire
hired.
you
I
so
don't need
I
to be
can
doing it
still
too.
do it. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. I've had that conversation before. I'm like, listen here, I hired you because I don't have time to do this. So if I'm doing my job and your job
Right.
and
You
you're
can come
employed
to
but not
me
working,
and yeah,
and that's
you can
what I'm
ask me
saying.
for help and we'll do
Yes.
some generation of ideas.
Right.
I'm not going to give you the answer and I'm not going to do the job for you.
Right.
I'll
Right.
coach you through it, but I'm not
Yeah.
going to do it for you.
And I don't think anybody really wants that at the end of the
No,
day either. Like, I think that they do wanna do the work and they do want to be challenged, but yeah, there've been a couple of times where I was like, "I don't know where the disconnect happened or where you thought that, like, I wanted to do this instead, but I really do want you to do it. So, apologies
absolutely.
on my part if I gave any signals, contrary to that." But yeah, like, I got my own work to do.
Right. And I think one of the keys to that is to then follow up with that
Yeah.
individual. Hey, how'd that work out?
Yes.
What did you learn from it?
Yes. Yes.
And it's the confidence boost it gives to that team member, phenomenal.
I'm really excited about your business. So, as you continue building your business, and anytime you want to talk about it, I'm 2 years in, so you just let me know.
Yeah.
Actually, 3 years in. Where do you see the biggest opportunity to make an impact with your business?
On the employer side, it is optimizing the recruiting process and function. On the candidate side, it is helping them boost their confidence as they're job searching.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be revising a resume, it could helping them understand the market and how to navigate the market. And as you were talking about a moment ago, leveraging their network.
Yes.
I have a client now who is in job search mode and very much an introvert. And I mentioned networking, and it was like, and so I'm trying to explain it's not just, going to a conference and meeting 17 people.
Right.
It could just be a text message to someone you used to work with and say, "Hey, I've
Yes.
got a question." That's networking.
Yes.
So helping people that are in job search mode build and boost their confidence and navigate the market. And then employers, it's really about how do we optimize this function so that we can bring talent into the organization and do it as timely as possible.
Love
And
it.
also keeping in mind that candidate experience.
Yes. Always keeping in mind the candidate experience. Yeah. I think that if you replace the word candidate with customer, businesses get it immediately.
Absolutely.
Say, we're talking about customer experience here. They are a customer of your business.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
They just might not be getting your end product. They're actually getting the guts of what's going on in your business.
Yes.
They're a customer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're consuming. I mean, they're not paying, you're paying them. Even better, you're paying them. Don't you want them to have a better experience? Right? They're
Exactly.
not even paying you.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that goes for internal candidates as well.
Absolutely.
I've seen disasters internally where, I had a colleague who had gone through like 16 interviews and the person ended up leaving the organization for a different role. Like, how do you do that to an employee?
Like, what are you even doing at that point? And my soapbox moment about internally making people interview. Have you not been paying attention to the job they've been doing for as long as they've worked there?
Right.
Unless they're meeting somebody they've never met before, unless it's some kind of, like extreme
Hmm.
pivot and you want to judge whether or not they can grow into the role or
Right.
something like that.
Right.
What are you doing? Have you not been paying attention to do you not think they can do the job?
Yep.
That's my
We have all the data and information we
main
need
soapbox.
already. Yep.
Because I'll say to managers, they're like, do I have to post this job? And I'm like, well, not if you've been developing somebody to move into it. Like, that's an
Precisely.
amazing promotion from within, right? You don't have
Right.
to post that job.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, some organizations you do, and in government, I know you do. But
Right.
all that aside, if there's not like actual real rules other than somebody who said, because we have to, then just promote somebody. Like,
Right.
that's wonderful. You've been
Right.
doing your job as a leader to get them ready for it. That's wonderful. You don't have to post that job.
Exactly.
And if you've been telling the person that you've been getting them ready for that, and then you post the job, immediately erode all trust with that person. Like, what are
You're
you
going to be
doing?
backfilling a job and filling a
What?
new role.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Like, well, I thought I was going to get that job, but then I posted it.
Right.
And people fill in the gaps with the information they don't have. So they're like, well, I must not have been right for it. Let me go call my network of 10,000
Exactly.
people and listen, was that worth it to you because we had to post the job? No, you didn't.
Why did Nicole leave? Huh. I wonder why.
Because she posted her job. I could talk to you for hours. This was such a thoughtful conversation. I appreciate your honesty and your perspective and the work that you're doing to really help organizations create those more intentional, people-centered hiring experiences. For everyone listening, thank you for joining us for another episode of Amplify Your Signal. If this conversation resonated with you, make sure that you connect with Tiffany. We're going to link to all of her stuff and follow the work that she's doing in her business. And also, if you want to hire her, you'll have all the information on how to do that. So, as always, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Pages blank, but hearts alive. Through their journeys, they still strive. Tales of passion, grit, and grace. Every journey leaves its trace.